I don't think too much will change going from the Biden administration to the Trump administration, certainly on the congressional side. There's always been strong bipartisan support for the U.S.-Korea relationship. I'd like to see us continue to build on both the bilateral the U.S.-Korea relationship, but also the trilateral with Japan. I think we've seen tremendous progress. And then with the threats in the region, obviously we're seeing a North Korea that is starting to align with Russia a bit. We're seeing the threat from the PRC. So I think it's more important than ever for the United States, Japan, and Korea to work together. Obviously South Korea is going through its political turmoil. We're watching what will happen with President Yoon and what the process is to pick a new president. I think that's what's more important than ever for Congress to take a leadership role, to continue to establish that dialogue with the National Assembly members, with the Speaker, both Democrats and Republicans. And again, my hope is that I'll get to travel to Korea shortly, and I think it'll be important as soon as we're able to travel a bit, and as soon as the new administration comes into play in Korea, for members of Congress, along with members of the administration, to visit. We saw him talk about that and perhaps pursue some of that in his first term. But you also saw members of Congress, in a bipartisan way, Democrats and Republicans, pass legislation to make it very difficult for him to reduce the troop presence. I don't think any of that has changed at this juncture. And then with regards to the burden sharing, we're in a very different place today than we were 8 years ago. Korea has stepped up. They've increased their cost sharing and so forth. So hopefully that won't be an issue. He had several meetings with Kim Jong-un in his first term. It didn't really pan out to a whole lot. With the Biden administration, we've always left the door open. Again, Kim Jong-un at this moment in time seems to have no interest in engaging in dialogue, and in fact has turned away towards Russia. We'll see what President Trump does. I mean, he obviously has a different relationship with Vladimir Putin. Will he use that leverage to perhaps change North Korea's trajectory? I don't know. It's not going to be boring. If you talk to our Navy, we're falling behind. China's manufacturing the vast majority of ships in the world now. We've got to rebuild our shipbuilding capacity, but also one way for us to meet our goals for our Navy is to work with allies like Korea to take advantage of their ability to build ships. Also, Korean companies like Hanwha have invested here in the Philadelphia shipyards, and we've been talking to them, and that's been pretty non-controversial. Sure, there will be members of Congress that are opposed to this, particularly members whose districts build ships. They may say, no, we want to keep it in the United States. But again, we don't have the capacity right now to meet our goals. So I think you can find Democrats and Republicans willing to come together to pass legislation if that's necessary. We've heard him talk about that, but we've also heard a lot of Republican governors, a lot of the Republican members of Congress, because a lot of these investments have not come to my state in California. They're going to places like Ohio, Michigan, Alabama. Hyundai's made major investments in many of these places. So I think there'll be some pushback, and I don't think it'll be so easy for him to take those tax credits away. We certainly want to see a transition towards electric vehicles, but a lot of those investments have gone to Republican states, to Republican members of Congress's districts. I think they'll be hesitant to have President Trump get rid of those tax credits.